Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Can you feel it? Can you feel the tide turning? It is. I didn't even know about the NASCAR thing until I watched Bo's video. Um, it's beautiful to see the change come about, to see compassion, equality, and justice being strived for. Again, not just even in this country, not in every state, in every town, in every country across the world. Uh, it went from being one of the worst times to being alive to possibly being one of the best times to be alive. And this is just the start of this. But I've seen a change just in the people around me. I was not going to talk about this, but I will. I went to a close family member's house, and very close, close as it gets. And they're Trump supporters, and this would have horrified them. This would have horrified them. We're sitting out on the back porch in their little community, and just talking about this and that, and the whole thing comes up about what's happening now. George Floyd, Black Lives Matters. And this close family member is somebody I could, a Trump supporter that I could talk to honestly and kid around with, probably the only one. And they asked me, they kind of said, well, we know where you stand on this. And I stood up and started screaming to the neighbors, Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! And it was midday on the weekend and all their neighbors were out and they all heard me. And much to my surprise, my family members started laughing. Um, and I could already see a change of heart. Now, my family members are big NASCAR fans too. And I think they saw this too. And they realized the world is changing. And and I realized too that a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of these people, um, their heart goes back to the 50s, and they were unaffected by racism. They were lucky. They were unaffected by a lot of things, and they look back at the older times as good. And it's a shallow, I don't want to put them down or use the word ignorant again, but they were lucky to have a better situation than a lot of people. The people that went to Vietnam, people that were lost in combat, people that were affected by racism, violence of the Democratic Convention back in the 60s. And there's a lot of people of that era that were look back at it fondly, and they look around and see this change going on. And this is generally older people, 60s, 70s, and they're scared. And they look at Donald Trump. They know he's a bad man. They know he's a liar. But being scared, their last hope, I think. And that's changing, and I see that around me. Because they're hanging on by a thread. It's that last little bit of fear because they don't know what's coming. It's not the fear of equality. It's not the fear of black people or color or any different color or nationality. It's just the fear of change. We all fear change, but change is always good. Um, so they cling to this manipulating, lying fascist who uses their fears for his own benefit, for his own power and greed. And it's becoming a lot more obvious. And as the whole world, it's not just one state, it's not just one area, it's not just one race, it's the entire world changing right now. And it's just young, and it's just starting, and we have to support it and nurse it and push it forward, and not let go of it and see it through. But I think it's become obvious to a lot of people. And this reminds me of yesterday's video when I talked about the day before, when I talked about 2 incidents here in Connecticut where it was just brutally in your face racism in this state. And I think about those people, and those, I don't like to label people as bad, but those are the deep down Trump supporters, the people that like him because he's a bad man, because he's got these qualities. That's a whole nother issue. That's the scary part of all this. So right now, I think I'm starting to see a division. I guess that's the bottom line. I'm starting to see a crack in the Trump supporters. The crack from the angry people who are just scared of change. The older baby boomer generation that are scared of change. You know, and I know a lot of them probably won't admit that when I say this here, if you're watching, but I think that's what it comes down to. And there's a crack. Those people are starting to fall away, I think. And they see the rest of the world changing. They see things they love. NASCAR, the people around them, their relatives changing, and they're not as scared of it anymore. You know, they realize it's not going to be somebody taking over the world and taking in socialism and communism and all the things that Donald Trump used to scare them. And they're seeing the rest of the world moving forward. And it's not that scary. It's kind of good. You know, all these protesters aren't violent. They're not all setting stuff on fire. Some people want to portray it that way because they want to use that fear, like Donald Trump. Portray all the bad, the negative. Make it scary. Fight it. Fight the change. Fight the good. It's true. It's true. Good and evil, if you really get down to it. When you look at the president manipulating the whole segment of society, and this is just for his power, his arrogance, his ego, and his greed. He's going to be viewed as an ugly figure in history. And I think that's becoming evident to a lot of Trump supporters. All right. You guys have a good Thursday.